Alright, hello, and welcome to another, UU update. This is Typhon Carter. This is the late June edition of what's going on in SV underuse. Is the 21st. I actually recorded something like this about like 5-6 days ago, but life's been busy. Regardless, I didn't really like how that recording turned out, so here we are. I'm gonna try to keep it at a reasonable length, so I'm just gonna hop right into it. So shifts are due to happen in about 10 days, give or take. It's the 21st of June, so lots happen in the tier during this time period. At the moment, some of those things I will get into in a bit, but first things first. So this is the usage stats for April and May weighed in together. So we're going in 3-month cycles. What's been going on? Obviously you got Excadrill, Zapdos, low kicks. You know, those are kind of like stuff that isn't really surprising per se. Like, you expect these Pokemon to be near the top. Excadrill does a lot of things. It can be pretty threatening as a SD Pokemon. It can also, like, you know, just spin, because hazard removal is kind of dire sometimes. The only other real notable one off the top of my head are Quaquaval and fucking Mandibuzz. So yeah, that's what we got going on right there. So Excadrill easy to fit on, you know, and Zapdos is static to Pokemon. Nobody, like, it will just, like, you touch it, there's like a 30% chance that you will just get parried. And it usually runs like a defensive set, like roost free attacks. It will run like Volt Switch, Hurricane, Heat Wave. This Heat Wave lets it nail Excadrill and pretty much kill Scizor at will. And the electric flying typing means that Scizor cannot really do much to it. It also, static also warranted Terra Electric on a lot of Pokemon such as Kommo, which got banned, but I will talk about that in a bit. Low kicks does what it's always done. It will first impression, you know, tinted lens, all that stuff. Not a lot of quad resist pokes. So that's what we got going on right now. Latios, Greninja, like, again, these are not really surprising. Hydrapple is like, you know, it cannot die. Some people have actually wanted this thing banned because of how absurdly stupid it is to kill. Iron Crown, yeah, this mon is stupid. It does not it does not reward the better player. It is fraudulent. It is a lot of things, but you know, it is BS. It will just be able to brute force through a lot of things that it really, like, you would not think it'd be able to brute force. But nonetheless, that's where we are right now. Ogre Pond, Corners, Rock Pond, bit of a weird mon. Sturdy means that it can just lead off and then potentially get 2-for-1, but you can also do some weird spiky shield stuff to, like, troll low kicks, and then now you're just super sad that it can't do shit to you. Scizor, again, like, that's probably in response to Ogre Pond, Cornerstone, or Rock Pond, because, like, Rock Grass is kind of hard to switch into. Like, with that being said, but there have been some mons that do really well into it. You know, Scizor Slowking, like, yeah, Slowking is centralizing enough that a lot of pokes have actually began running Terra Electric in response to it, because it commonly runs Thunder Wave, like it'll run Scald, Thunder Wave. It does not run Future Sight a lot. Like, it's not super popular on it. Like, yeah, it exists, but it's not like popular, if that makes sense. Zumro kind of does like a Zumro things, like, you know, it's just got hit hard, maybe belly drum, and potentially make you feel awful. So there's that. Sandy Shocks, Magros, you know, like, again, a lot of these not super surprising. Like Quaquaval, again, like, removal. Although something to note about Quaquaval is that a lot of Quaquavals tend to run like kind of like a utility set. Like, they'll run like knockoff Aqua Step, Rapid Spin, Roost, for example. So that's something you might see. Things that have been on the rise lately, Cobalion, right, like, yeah, these are not surprising. Like, I talked about this last month. A lot of what I said here still kind of applies to a degree. Pelipper, again, like, yeah, that used been dropping, but it's been banned for a while now, just to note. And then the elephant in the room is Como. This thing got banned a couple weeks ago, like about 2 weeks ago. It was a overwhelming majority. A lot of people do not like this thing because Como can run like bajillion sets, and then sometimes it can just randomly tack you with the right Terra, and that doesn't even go into like the whole abilities thing. Like for example, like bulletproof and soundproof, both very viable for different reasons. Like we run like something like Scarlet is being run to try to not immediately lose to Como, but like yeah, but then like, you know, if you get taunted, it's like, oh well, that's pretty awkward, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, like it could run sub, it could run taunt, it could run DD, it could run Clangorous Soul with throat spray. It could also run a physical variant of Clangorous Soul, etc. Right? So yeah, this thing can really just ruin your day. Yeah, so like Como, Iron Crown, they were commonly run together on like hyper offense and stuff. So that's what's been going on recently. Thunder Sparion's been kind of seeing a little more usage. If it did rise up to UU proper, I would not be surprised. It's been more of a popular tournament pick lately because it's a good offensive check to Zapdos. Because Zapdos, like, yeah, Heat Wave kind of does okay damage, but you can't click a Volt Switch liberally. You also have Rhyperior, also like a perfectly good Pokemon on its own. As Zapdos can't really do much to it, and in some cases even becomes setup fodder. But then, you know, you have Hurricane, which is a BS move that can just kind of BS its way through things. So that's what's going on right now. I'm going to pull up what the projections look like for July real quick. So for 3 month projections, what has changed? Moltres moving out of the way RU-OU is kind of funny because Flame Body just does a lot. Iron Crown, again, like that didn't really change much from me. So that's not super surprising. I'm not going to go super in depth, but what is interesting though is seeing like Weavile potentially coming back to UU. For those of you who may not be aware, Weavile was actually a UU mon for the entirety of DLC 1, aka the Teal Mask DLC. This was a time. Now, during that time, though, when Weavile was obviously a very powerful Pokemon, very hard to deal with, but like some of the pokes that have been kind of popular, I kind of forgot to mention it, but Okidogi was starting to become a bit of a trendy pick in UU. Kind of, but like a lot of what Okidogi did is kind of the same things it did in DLC 1. So Weavile coming back. The major difference though that would change for Weavile is mostly the fact that it has triple axle now, so its damage output is boosted considerably. Does this mean something like Okidogi can kind of check it a little bit harder, but then you would probably start running like Rocky Helmet to really rack up that chip damage from on like triple axle, because it is a free hit move, so that chip damage does add up. That's something you could see being more counterplay, but the thing is Weavile can also just knock it off, and then now it's super awkward. So that's what's going on. Over in OU, it's kind of like in a weird spot per se. I'm not gonna say I keep OU religiously, but Superior, again, like not surprising because like Superior has been kind of not seen favorably, and then Skarmory has kind of started to lose some usage because like the offense is super stupid. That, you know, you got some people that are super dissatisfied with the current state, but it's very divisive to say the least. Like some people think it's fine, some people think it's, well, not fine, amongst other things. So that's what's going on. Torkoal with Sun has been kind of on the downturn in OU, as I talked about last time. So a lot of that has not changed. Skarmory is kind of like on the fringes. Like it's one of those, if it drops, you wouldn't be surprised, but if it stayed, you wouldn't be surprised either. So that's kind of what's going on. Now Weavile, what would this mean? First of all, for the case of OU, what this means is that speed tiers get redefined yet again in underuse. Like if Weavile actually came down, for one, like stuff like Tornadus Farian would no longer be like one of the fastest speed controls in the game. Something like Rock Pond would probably take a bit of a dip in viability because of the fact that triple axle would just break sturdy, and then you have like the most awkward matchup of all time, and then you're like half forced to Terra potentially, and you don't always want that. So that's kind of the implications that Weavile would have towards our current UU. Skarmory would make underused genuinely awful to play, in my honest opinion, because like this tier already has problems with hazard removal that like some people are willing to just ignore it and not run hazard removal and then like, you know, you get surprised that you like lose the hazards when you get knocked off, amongst other things. So yeah, no, Skarmory would kind of add like a really stupid element. Superior would be a Terra Hog, but like if you're building around it being a Terra Hog, then maybe it can go places, but I'm not sure. The speed tier on Superior kind of awkward because it is faster than like the Ogerpon forms. You know it. But then you kind of awkwardly, like, grass is not, Leaf Storm not super spammable, and then you have to use Stellar Terra amongst other things, and then, but then you kind of make zero progress on like the unawares, etc, etc. So yeah, kind of a mixed bag. I think you're gonna have to go out your way to support it, but could it be really stupid? Yes, it can be. So that's kind of what we got going on. Oh, and it can still do its glare stuff. Right, so like guaranteed paralysis, really stupid. So that's kind of what's going on with like, you know, Superior and stuff. Like Contrary is just really dumb. Yeah, and Cobalion Rising, Rhyperior Rising, like yeah, all three of these not surprising. Gudra Hisui, not surprising. It's been kind of bad for a while. Nobody has really been using it on ladder as much lately. Weezing same deal. Like, yeah, you have defog, but the problem is that it's kind of just bad at everything else, and you invite in Metagross for free. You invite like so many things easily, and then Indeedee is its viability is tied to side terrain, but side terrain is like okay viable, but it's like a fish, right? That's kind of the state of side terrain right now. So that's what we got going on, right? On to what I was gonna talk about. Okay, so here, you know, you see it was a large majority of people wanted Como gone. It is now gone. Yeah, like this was being played, or it was seeing a lot play during UULT, and people kind of hated it. Yeah, so that's what's going on. And I'm not really gonna bother touching the VR because I don't think too much has changed. Besides some stuff like, oh, Rock Pond has started to like lose a little bit of viability, etc, right? So there's that. I am going to quit. In fact, World Cup of Pokemon, they're playing tiebreakers right now. In fact, this means that a lot of games of SBUU were played. I'm going to pull up one of those replays in a second. Alright, this is Mimi Lucha versus LPZ. I'm going to wrap the video up with this replay. I have not watched this game yet, by the way, so at the time I'm recording this, so there's that, but it looks like relatively normal teams between these two. Mimi Lucha here on preview looks like he has a sand team with Hippo Exca, and then you got Hydrapple Zapdos. So Hydrapple Zapdos Hippowdon is a pretty solid defensive backbone. I believe this might have been a post-Como ban game for those interested. And then the Keldeo here could be like sub-CM, or it could be Specs Keldeo. Neither one would surprise me. And then Metagross here could be CB, it could be like Assault Vest, for example, because like this team besides Keldeo is a little bit soft in the Greninja. But for all I know though, like Mimi Lucha could have a Terra like designed to deal with Greninja, but like that's just on preview, right? And then Excadrill, most likely Sandrush Excadrill, with maybe like Air Balloon, or even like Loaded Dice if you want to get spicy with like Rock Blast and whatnot. On LPZ's side, you got Hoopa Unbound, kind of a niche pick, but it's like an okay Pokemon in this tier, like Big Breaker. with on LPZ side, I expect the Excadrill to be Mold Breaker. Hydrapple is probably defensive. This is very likely to be, and then his Tornadus is likely to be Assault Vest Tornadus with like either leftovers Tinkaton with like rocks and stuff. Like that's probably the rocker 9 out of 10 times. The one time being maybe like Excadrill, but like I think it wouldn't really make sense on his team. So that's what we got going on. And then Keldeo here is either Sub CM, like Sub CM Terra Electric to farm Slowking if Mimilucha did bring that. Yeah, so Sub CM Keldeo has been kind of a trendy pick because it feasts on a lot of common Slowking sets. Both these teams actually look pretty well prepared to take on Slowking or punish it in some way, shape, or form. And the Hoopa on LPZ side, I would expect it to be Choice Scarf because because LPZ does not particularly have the greatest of speed controls. Specs Keldeo here, I wouldn't really expect it on this 6 in particular. Like it could work, but like that would not be my first expectations. And yeah, let's just get right into it. I'm going to play this really slow. Okay, so turn 1 Zap Hydrapple. LPZ is forced to switch out and probably goes into Tornadus expecting maybe a Hurricane from Mimilucha, but Mimilucha just makes a solid mid-ground play, goes into Zap and Volt switches. He could try to go into Excadrill, but like you get punished by Heat Wave. Here, Mimilucha probably playing with the expectation that this Tornadus variant is AV, and it U-turns out takes a lot of chips, so this means it's gonna be at about 60% the next time it comes in. And given that this is a Helmet Hippo, oh, okay. This Tinkaton is okay. So this is Balloon Tinkaton with Pickpocket from the looks of it, because you do not see the Mold Breaker prompt, and that's the only other ability that Tinkaton can run. So that kind of tells us a lot about for Mimilucha. He has to be real careful about how he plays around that, because he wants to avoid getting his item stolen. Goes to Metagross though. Yeah, LPZ just gets his rocks up, like kind of a safe play for him to make, and this Metagross turns out to be leftovers. However, now, you know, he's got, yeah, so LPZ can't really stay in anymore. He's got to get, he's just going to get absolutely shredded by Heavy Slam. However, LPZ doubles out into Hydrapple. Not sure what he was looking for on that particular turn, but you know, Mimilucha goes to Keldeo. I don't think Mimilucha wants to stay in. Yeah, gets out though. Goes into Zapdos, pretty safe play. You're not gonna get super hard punished for that. Oh, okay, it's a Jetpack Hydrapple, which is pretty interesting. That is a set that some people do actually use on hyper offensive teams, but I would not really expect on the balance. But it's a really nice way to get Hoopa into the game, and now Hoopa has either a free knockoff or, yeah, so okay, they're both eject button, okay, or like eject of some kind, so they're both like just looking for easy pivot entries, and LPZ stays in here. I think for Mimilucha, losing that Metagross really sucks, because I think that Metagross could have made a lot of progress against like the rest of LPZ's team. But Mimilucha might have feared a possible mix variation from LPZ, so, or it could have been like Assault Vest Gunk Shot, that kind of thing. With that in mind though, now Mimilucha brings out Keldeo. We still don't know what this Keldeo set actually is, but we're going to find out real soon. Flip turn, okay. So with flip turn, this means that the Keldeo is probably Choice Specs. And now, Mimilucha here has kind of a free action here, but Mimilucha afraid to Roost, probably because like Hydrapple could try to call it out and Earth Power it on the Roost attempt, and then like Zapdos takes a lot of damage. But a decent mid-ground play, but however, this is not really a good spot for Mimi Lucha because of the fact that Excadrill can now actually threaten with a kill with like, you know, Rock Slide or whatever. But on LPZ's side, knowing that Mimi Lucha's Zapdos is kind of low, he could possibly go for a spin here. And oh, it's actually it's fast Zapdos. Okay. Yeah, so, but LPZ is able to get rocks off, but this is gonna be pretty awkward for LPZ now, though. And then I think this might actually be like specially defensive Excadrill. I'm not 100% sure. Either that Zap is really offensive or the Excadrill is really slow and bulky. So that's what we got going on right now. And then LPZ goes for a Sword Stance here. That Sword Stance is going to do a lot of damage. 55% here. Mimi Lucha just takes his kill. However, with that in mind though, now this is a really awkward situation for Mimi Lucha because of the fact that your Zapdos is low. Your Hippowdon doesn't exactly can't really recover freely. The Hydrapple is relatively healthy, and the Keldeo has taken a little bit of chip damage, but that chip might matter later. Yeah, this is really super free entry for Hoopa. Now, if this is Mixed Scarf, then LPZ could click Psychic really freely. Hyperspace Fury, now this means that Mimi Lucha can just bring the Keldeo in. Or Excadrill in this case. Yeah, so he's able... So this is Boots Sandrush Excadrill from the looks of it. Sword Stance. Now, I think here's where it's get interesting. So, this Excadrill, there's some things that Excadrill can run. You could run like something like X-Scissor for Hydrapple. That is possible. B, it could just be like Sword Stance free attacks. Or it could be like, you know, 2 attacks, Sword Stance plus Rapid Spin. But here, things look pretty rough for Mimi Lucha, even with that in mind. Oh, okay, Terra Ices. It's Terra Blast Ice, which is not something I would expect from Excadrill, especially on Sandrush Excadrill. Because this is actually a really good way to nail opposing grounds, and really nice for Hydrapple specifically. So this is a pretty cool tech in all honesty. However, LPZ also was able to call out a possible Terra. Terra probably realized something may have been up, but what this means now though is that LPZ can kind of get a free kill here. And LPZ sacks LPZ sacks the Tinkaton, but Keldeo now has free entry, and Keldeo is able to pretty much claim a kill safely with like can click Secret Sword fairly liberally. It's gonna bring in the Hydrapple or Excadrill potentially. Brings in Hydrapple, presuming that this is Choice Lock Keldeo. However, LPZ is going to bring in Hoopa, and great double there by Mimi Lucha to get the Excadrill in. That's probably, you know, Mimi Lucha's best shot at winning the game. However, the thing is that Mimi Lucha has to be very weary of the Keldeo having Vacuum Wave. And yeah, so gets a pretty free kill there with Terra Blast Ice, covers everything except for Keldeo. And then, okay, this is interesting. So LPZ does not bring out the Keldeo. What this probably tells us is that this Keldeo is either A, does not have Vacuum Wave, or B, LPZ is trying to stall out the Sand turns because Mimi Lucha only has 2 turns of Sand Rush active left. Earthquake's here, and then now the Excadrill goes down. I think I kind of like LPZ in this endgame at the moment, but the thing is that Keldeo can also kind of click Hydro Pump or Surf relatively freely. But yeah, I think LPZ should be able to secure this based on this endgame. Secret Sword tries to get as much chip damage as possible. Does not get it. Milucha has already burnt up his Terra. This means that Tornadus should be able to claim a kill comfortably. And oh, okay, so this was a jetpack kind of fast Hydrapple. Some people do actually run a speed invested Hydrapple just to get the jump on stuff like Rhyperior, for example, so that's something that isn't unheard of. And then now this Keldeo probably is not able to break through the Tornadus anyways, because this is very likely to be a Celt Vest turn. And yeah, like barring a critical hit here, oh, okay, so this is this Scarf? Okay, yeah, is this Scarf Keldeo? I want to say it might be. I wouldn't be surprised. Either this Tornadus is really slow on LPZ side, or Milucha is running Scarf. Goes down, and then Hydrapple is able to safely get the Gauge Drain off. I think even Crit Hydrapple was eating that, so maybe LPZ knew this. And yeah, this was a pretty cool game to watch. Honestly, it was pretty fun game. Like, both brought pretty cool teams. Milucha brought a pretty cool tech with Terra Ice Excadrill, whereas LPZ brought a more standard team, very solid stuff, with some interesting variations in spread, like the Hydrapple being, I believe, eject pack was, yeah, both Hydrapples being eject, although Milucha's was eject button, and LPZ's being eject pack was really cool. With that being said though, I will see you guys next time.